This is the Apeman A77. It's an action camera for under £50, with Wi-Fi built in, a 4K sensor and even a preview screen. This has the features to rival that of GoPro. But the question is, should you cut those corners and buy one of these styles of cameras? Or should you save up a little bit of money and go with that name brand? That's what we're going to find out today. Hello everybody, my name is Robert and this is Review Clue. As an entry-level action camera, the A77 actually came very well packaged. Once opened, we are presented with the camera and an accessory box, both nicely laid out with the instructions. Within that accessory box, there are a good array of mounts, from your car to even your bike's handlebars. We see the camera in its waterproof casing here, but there is an extra casing as well if you want a more open back if audio is important. But of course it will lose its waterproof attributes, just keep that in mind. Getting started is easy enough as well. Pop in a battery, pop in an SD card, give it a charge and you're basically ready to go. There is a second battery in the box here as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about battery life later. There is even an app here, and actually it's very capable. You can basically change all of your settings right from within the app if you don't want to fiddle around with the camera too much, and I found the Wi-Fi connection to be reliable. There's even a way to pull this footage straight off of the camera to your phone for editing. It is really quick and easy. The weight is excellent here. It's so light, it really doesn't feel intrusive, whatever kind of activity you're doing. The camera with its battery and housing comes in at just 115 grams, and it measures 59mm by 41 by 25. So it is very lightweight. This is about the same size as a GoPro camera, so it's very versatile in where you can place it to get lots of different cool shots. Running through the specifications, it's all pretty standard stuff. We can shoot at 4K for 25 FPS, 1080p at 60 FPS and 720p at 120 FPS. As you'd expect, we can also take still images here at 16, 12, 8, 5 or 4 million pixels. Both are captured with this 170-degree field of view lens. This gives the action camera that fisheye look that we always look for in these styles of cameras. This is a really nice to see because in action cameras to date, especially the more cheap ones, they've kind of taken away this fisheye look so that it appeals more to vloggers and the everyday person. At the end of the day, an action camera should be a fairly wide field of view, so it's good to see it here. The video is captured in H.264, so it has maximum compatibility with basically all of your devices, from PC to Mac to even your laptop and phones, and even the tablet as well. I edit most of my footage on either my Mac or the iPad, and it works on both here. It is of course all captured and stored on that micro SD card. It can go up to 32 gigs, and of course if you want to record that 4K, you will have to get a very high rated micro SD card in terms of class. Normally we suggest class 10 or higher for these kinds of devices. The camera's build quality is acceptable for that £50 price point. Outside of its waterproof casing, it feels a little bit plasticky, but let's be honest, outside of that waterproof casing, you probably wouldn't be using it, and if you did, it wouldn't be attached to you, it would be somewhere stationary. So the plasticky feel really doesn't matter to me too much. When it is in that case, however, it feels very durable. I feel like I could drop this thing from a high height and it probably wouldn't take much damage. While I was out filming, I was actually very impressed with that small LCD display that's on the back. It actually produced very true to life colours, and what I actually saw from the back of this screen was very much what I saw on my laptop or even my phone. There was, however, a few issues. Primarily while filming in bright conditions, like when I was tree climbing, the camera suffered from more glare than I may have liked. I thought that this might have been caused by the housing, but I did remove it and checked afterwards, but it still did seem to persist. So this is probably a lens issue, but it's not a deal breaker, certainly not at that price point. Overall, the detail in the video was excellent, with anything close to the camera showing plenty of detail and good colour, and even the tonal rendition. Objects a little further away from the camera did start to lose on some of that detail, and it will even start to get that little painter's effect, but this is pretty standard for any action camera, and you should really expect it for this price point. Testing the camera at 4K and the visual quality was excellent. Even though that frame rate was limited to 25 FPS, all motion looked nice and smooth. Obviously dropping that down to 1080p, we did get that 60 FPS and everything felt a lot smoother, although we did lose some of that detail. The pixelization is pretty much in line with every other action camera on the market. Overall, performance was surprisingly good, and I feel like that 170-degree field of view offered by the camera is a relatively close focal distance. So it does make this an ideal solution for families and vloggers outside of that waterproof case. It does make this a really good option for vloggers and family channels or just wanting to capture footage outside of that waterproof case. Audio seemed acceptable here, but realistically, if you want good audio, I would not be using the microphones that are built into this, either that inside or outside of that case. What I would suggest doing is grabbing some kind of external microphone, and you'll thank me later. Battery life is absolutely excellent here too, with about 2 hours of footage for 1080p, which is really good considering GoPro's battery life. At 4K that is reduced to about an hour and a half, but that is still very good for one battery. If you charge both of them up, I feel like you could probably get a full day of activity out of them. Overall, the Apeman A77 is a really nicely designed piece of kit. Keep in mind that price point, and its build quality is pretty sufficient for its price. It could probably withstand quite a bit of abuse, and it did during my testing while tree climbing and riding the bike. I did find the UI rather clunky to get through, however. There's no touchscreen here, so you have to work with the buttons, and every option is hidden away under a sub-menu, which is just not very easy to find. Connecting up to that mobile, however, makes everything a lot more simple. Everything is much more well laid out here, and you can find all the options you need, set it, and then go. Visually, the image and video quality is good considering that price. My only real issue is that lens flaring in really bright scenarios, but that is not a deal breaker for me. I'll leave that up to you as to whether you think that's something that you just can't deal with in a camera. If you enjoyed this review and found it useful, then I would really appreciate it if you headed down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon so you get notified when I upload even more content just like this. And of course, if there's something that you want me to review or check out, let me know down there in the comments and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.